Americans buy about 3 billion batteries every year. Many of us consider the premium brands to be the best buy. Well, DealNews.com recently did a scientific study that may change the way you buy batteries and really save you some money. Jason Cochran is with Deal News, and he is here right now with the results. So you can vouch for this study then, right?
Yeah, I can, absolutely. And they were surprising, the results, actually.
Yeah. I was going to say, you guys launched this big investigation. What did you find?
Well, we sent 6 different types of batteries that we bought off the shelf from stores. And we sent them to Worcester Polytechnic Institute, and they tested for initial voltage and then over 19 hours of life what the output of energy was. And surprisingly, we found that among the alkaline batteries, there was no difference between the brand name batteries and the generic.
Really?
All the
So
same.
If you've been loyal to, like, let's say a Duracell or an Energizer, really no difference between those batteries and then some of the ones you'd never consider?
Statistically insignificant. Minor differences, but really they're all in the same pack.
Yeah. Any exceptions to the rule?
There was one that actually did very well. It was a lithium battery. It was the Energizer Advanced Lithium, but it was the only lithium that we checked, and that was still going after 19 hours. Now, it did very, very well, but among the alkalines, over 19 hours, the power started to sag.
Yeah, you looked at the average prices of batteries out there as well. What did you find as far as from a pricing standpoint?
Well, the lithium batteries are quite expensive, as you probably know.
Yeah.
The Energizer lithium was about $1.42 per battery. Of course, that lasts a very long time. But while the alkalines, when you get the lower priced ones like a generic or a Rayovac, they're more like only 42 cents, so maybe a quarter as much.
Yeah.
So you have to weigh whether you want to pay that much money for a longer life, or you're happy sort of cycling through, but at a much cheaper price.
Well, I was going to say, just from saving that dollar alone from the difference in batteries right there with the volume of batteries that people are buying, and then when you tell them that there's really not a big difference between, I mean, it almost makes perfect sense.
Exactly. People go for the brands, which, they may not need to. If, statistically, it doesn't make a difference.
As far as like getting back to some deals, if I wanted to go buy batteries, what are some of the things to look out for?
Well, obviously, brand loyalty is not as important as you might think. So that's the first thing. Stick away from brand loyalty. And on the same side of that, look for the sales. If you can find a brand that you like on sale for as much as a generic, then you might as well get one of those. But also buying in bulk can be a great way to save on batteries. You see some bulk here. You get a whole chunk of them. You can store them in your kitchen or your bedroom. They don't go bad. It takes a number of years for a battery to start to lose its charge significantly under right conditions. Yeah. And the other thing I would suggest is get a rechargeable battery. You spend a little bit more at the front end, but within a year or so, you'll have made your money back. One thing I don't suggest, by the way, dollar stores. Believe it or not, sometimes they have a record of outdated batteries, expired batteries, or defective batteries. So I would probably stick to the generics if you're going to get a generic from your local drugstore.
Let's say you do have batteries, though, and you've had them in your drawer, like most of us, for eons. Is there a shelf life to batteries where you should say, okay, it's been a year or it's been 6 months, probably best to go out and buy new ones?
No, 6 months would be far too soon. I think if it's hot where you live, maybe over 100 degrees, you need to think about possibly replacing your batteries more often than not, because you can lose about 25% of your charge over a year if it's more than 100 degrees. But in general, some people put their batteries in the fridge. What's
the deal with that? Putting batteries in the fridge or the freezer? I mean,
only if it's really hot where you live. That's pretty much, because again, a very high temperature will drain a battery.
How do we talk about it? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
And you live on the surface of the sun. I mean, if it's in your house,
it's going to be fine. But you do go to dollar stores that are not air conditioned because they're dollar stores and they're inexpensive, and you can find inside the dollar store it's 100 degrees, and that will affect the life of the battery. But in general, no. There's very few cases in which you would need to refrigerate your batteries unless you're just that kind of person. But other than that, batteries at room temperature work better. It's just a matter of chemistry. So you have to warm them up after the fridge anyway.
Okay, well, kidding about that whole fridge thing, I mean, kidding aside, though, any other way to make the batteries last a little longer? I mean, what would you recommend?
When you change your batteries, don't mix in old and new, because that can put strain on one battery, not the other, and maybe cause them to explode. If you don't use something for a long time, take the batteries out. That'll keep them from draining slowly as they're not being used. Don't throw your batteries in like a bowl of coins or in a bowl with other batteries, because they can touch each other, short out, get hot, cause a problem there. But in general, I mean, it's a simple care. Keep them in the box that you bought them in. You're probably going to be fine for a number of years. And rechargeables as well.
Excellent.
Great way to use those to save some money. Rechargeables are the way to go.
All right, Jason, thanks so much. Good to see you.